Good evening, LinkedIn fraternity. My audiences, actually, a request came today. It would be a study video. The request came from the audiences to make you people understand the Bohr and Bury concept of electrons, right? The way actually the electrons are arranged as per Bohr and Bury scheme of distribution of electrons. So that I'm going to talk about today. So without further ado, let's delve into the topic. So before starting the topic, let me tell you this comes in class 9 in CBSC. This comes in checkpoint 2 in CIE. This comes in MYP in IB. This comes in checkpoint, yeah, in ICC. It comes in class 7. Okay, class 7 or class 8, yeah, depends. Class 7 probably, if you are following that Dalal chemistry book, then you will find it in class 7. Fine, I'm talking of ICC. Fine, so I repeat, in CBSC you are going to find it in class 9. In checkpoint 2 you are going to find it if you are following CIE curriculum, Cambridge curriculum. If you are following IB, then you are going to find it in MYP. If you are following ICC, you are going to find it in class 7, provided that you are following Dalal's chemistry book. Understood? So now let me talk about, because I'm having a primitive technology, and most of my audiences, they thought that I'm having a board, chalk, duster. I was having everything, but all got broken during the time of Corona. I had to take the class over there, so due to that, all got broken. At the same point of time, all got mutilated. So it will take some amount of time. Don't worry, just have patience. Everything will be falling in line. So let me give you the concept by means of lecture method, and you follow word by word of mine. Okay, word by word of mine. So actually, the basic of Bohr and Bury distribution of electron is 2n square. What is the basic? 2n square, where n is treated as the number of shell. Suppose if I talk about first shell, some boys become first, some boys become second, some boys become third. So if I talk about first shell, then n would be equal to 1. If it becomes second shell, then n would become 2. I repeat, if the first shell is considered, n is going to be 1. If the second shell is considered, n is going to be considered as 2. If the third shell is considered, then n is going to be considered as 3. Now let's consider today, we'll not go into deep because I'm not having certain materials. Okay, but I consider it as a lame excuse, but I just wanted to make you understand by means of lecture method. Fine. I could see that how much you can grasp out of my lecture, then I'm going to use audiovisual learning. Audiovisual learning is not at all possible, so sorry for using audiovisual learning, but chalk and duster easily I can use. Fine, chalk, duster, board. So 2n square, so that means if n equal to 1, then in the first shell it is going to be 2 electrons. That means the most electrons which could be placed in the first shell is going to be 2, because 2 into 1 square, 1 square means 1, 1 into 2, 2. Then in the second shell, the most electrons which is going to be placed is 8. Now how come 8? 2 into 2 square, 2 2s are 4. 2 into 2 square, that means 2 2s are 4. 2 square means 4. 4 into 2, 8. Then after that, in the third shell, it would be 2 into 2n square. I have said that the formula is 2n square, where the n equal to number of shells. Now in the third shell, it would be 3. Third shell means 3. So 2 into 3 square. So 3 square means 3 3s are 9. 9 into 2, 18. Fine. So now 2 into n square is the basic of Bohr and Bury scheme of distribution of electron. Now Bohr and Bury both are scientists. They have discovered the pattern of electrons, that how it is going to get arranged. Exceptions are there. Exceptions are transition element. Okay, so that I'm going to discuss in my next class, or in my other videos. Okay, transition element. Fine. So now if I talk about, okay, in order to arrange the electronic distribution as per Bohr's and Bury concept, then it is mandatory for you to know the atomic number. Now you will ask me, sir, what is atomic number? Atomic number is defined as a number of electron. No, completely wrong. Even if you are writing in ICSC, you will get 0. I am telling you because I checked the paper. If you are writing in CBSE, you will get 0. If you are writing in IGCSE, you will get 0. I have never exposed to IB, so I haven't got the opportunity to check the paper, so I can't talk about IB, right? So atomic number is defined as the number of protons. Now proton and neutrons are responsible for the impartment of mass to the atom. Now number of proton is equal, I repeat, the number of proton is equal to the number of electrons. That's why we say that atomic number is equal to the number of electrons. But actually, by definition, atomic number is defined as the number of protons. Okay, so if the atomic number of sodium is 11, then it is defining the number of protons. Whereas if I consider the structure of the atom, then the number of proton is equal to the number of electrons. Now if I go by the 2n square policy, then 2n square means 2 into 1 square. In the first shell, the most electron is going to get placed is 2. I am considering sodium as a reference point. Fine. Now the first shell, out of 11 electrons, sodium, that means 11 electron sodium is having. So out of 11 sodium, that means 2 electrons are getting ejected or are getting placed in the first shell. Then 2n square, where n equal to 2 means the second shell. So 2n square means 2 into 2 square. So 2 2s are 4 into 2, 8. Fine. So in the second shell, the number of electron sodium is going to have in the second shell is 8. So 8 plus 2, 10. Then how many electron remains? Only 1. So in the last shell, it is going to have only 1 electron. So the total configuration of sodium is 281 as per Bohr's and Bury scheme of distribution of electron. Now the last shell is known as the last shell, but the last but one shell is known as the penultimate shell. I repeat, penultimate shell. The spelling of penultimate is PENULTIMATE. I repeat, PENUL, penal, TIMATE. Last time I'm repeating, penultimate, penultimate, last but one shell. Last but two shell is known as penultimate. Before that we need to include or incorporate anti-penultimate shell. Okay, anti-penultimate shell. Understood? So last but two shell is known as anti-penultimate shell. So the electronic configuration of sodium is 281. So 2 is considered as anti-penultimate shell, last but two shell. Then the last but one shell, which is having 8 electrons, known as penultimate shell, and the last shell is last shell, we all know. Now let us consider calcium. Now calcium, the atomic number of calcium is 20. Fine. So if I go by the basic 2n square, then n is equal to the number of shells. So the first shell, n equal to 1. First shell can be considered as number 1. Second shell can be considered as number 2. Third shell can be considered as number 3. That means first shell means n equal to 1. Second shell means n equal to 2. Third shell means n equal to 3. Fourth shell means n equal to 4. Understood? I repeat. First shell means n equal to 1. Second shell means n equal to 2. Third shell means n equal to 3. Fourth shell means n equal to 4. So in the first shell, 2n square, whereas n equal to 1. So 2 into 1 square, that means 2. So out of 20 electrons of calcium, 2 electrons already got placed in the first shell. Then the second shell represent what? Just before a while I said second shell, that means second shell means n equal to 2. Okay, so 2n square means 2 into 2 square. So 2 square means 4. So 4 into 2, 8. So 8 electrons are going to get placed in the second shell. So 8 plus 2, 10 electrons already got placed in case of calcium. Out of, out of 20 electrons, 10 electrons got placed. Now 10 electrons remain. Now one mind-boggling thought they have given, means Bohr and Bury, they have given that the last shell, they cannot incorporate more than 8 electrons. So if they cannot incorporate more than 8 electrons, okay, suppose if I put 10 electrons, then 10 electron would be acting as the last shell. But theory wipe it out. Theory says that last shell cannot have more than 8 electrons. So let us put 8 electron in the third shell. So that means 2 electron in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell. So 2 plus 8 already gone. So that means 10 electrons are placed in the first two shells. Now out of 10 electrons I am going to place. Now see, as far theory is concerned, now 2n square, so that means 2n square, whereas n equal to number of shells. So this one is third shell. So 3 square, 2 into 3 square. 2 into 3 square means what? 3 3s are 9, 2s are 18. So 18 is not matching with 10. 18 is exceeding. So I cannot put 18 also in the third shell. Am I right or wrong? I guess am I right? So I cannot put 18 also in the third shell. So I have to put 8 as for the convenience. Then how many electron remains? Only 2 electron remains. Because in the first shell I have put 2 electrons. In the second shell, as per the theory, I have put 8 electrons. Now because Bohr and Bury stated that we cannot incorporate more than 8 electrons in the last shell. That's why in the penultimate shell I have put 8 electrons. So 2, 8, 8. Altogether it becomes 18 electrons. So out of 20 electrons, already successfully I have placed 18 electrons. So how many electrons I am going to place in the last shell? Only 2 electrons. So what would be the electronic configuration of calcium? The electronic configuration of calcium is 2882. Let us talk about magnesium. Now the atomic number of magnesium is 12, right? So if I go by the concept of 2n square, already I told you before a while, that means n means number of shell. Okay, so n equal to 1 so first shell means n equal to 1. First shell means n equal to 1. I repeat or I reiterate, the first shell means n equal to 1. So 2 into 1 square equal to 2. Then the second, that means 2n square, where n equal to 2 means the second shell. So there actually 2 into 2 square, that comes to 8. So out of 12, I successfully placed 10 electrons in the 2 shells. I'm talking in relation with magnesium. Okay, the atomic number of magnesium is 12. So if I go by the basic 2n square, then what I'm going to do, 2n square. So n equal to 1 means it would be 2 into 1 square, that is 2. N equal to 2 means 2 into 2 square, that is 8. Fine. So out of 12 electrons, 10 electrons already been successfully placed, and Bohr and Bury, they have suggested us that, guys, you cannot put 8 electrons in the outermost shell, or in the last shell. That's why what I am doing, out of 12 electrons I have successfully placed 10 electrons in first shell as well as in second shell. First shell I have placed 2 electrons, and in the second shell I have placed 8 electrons. Now the thing is, how many electron remains? If the atomic number is 12 of magnesium, then only 2 electron remains, because already successfully I have placed 10. So now in the outermost shell I only have to incorporate 2 electrons. Sorry, I only have to incorporate 2 electrons. So the total electronic configuration becomes 282. So this is the actual précis or the summary of Bohr's and Bury's scheme of distribution, which talks about penultimate shell. Penultimate shell means last but one shell. penultimate, penultimate shell. Last but two shell is known as anti-penultimate shell. At the same point of time, they are talking about, or they are concerned about only one thing. That one is that last shell or the outermost shell cannot accommodate more than 8 electrons. Fine. And last but not the least, okay, by saying this I'm going to complete the video for you all, that less electron, suppose the first shell is having 2 electrons, second shell is having 8 electrons, third shell by theory would be having 18 electrons, right? Even there are certain electronic configuration I can tell you whose electronic configuration is 2, 8, 18, 8, 2. Okay, so but the main theme of this Bohr and Bury scheme of distribution is 2n square, and the last or the outermost shell cannot accommodate more than 8 electrons. Fine. Now suppose you are having 9 electrons. Suppose you are having 9 electrons and only one shell remains. Bifurcate into 8 plus 1. This is the theory. If you are having 16, if you are having 16 electrons, or if you are having 17 electrons, bifurcate into 8 8 1. Okay, now this would become very much easy when you are going to learn energy level diagram. Now energy level diagram in IGCSE, it's not there in IGCSE. To a certain extent it's there, but fully it's not there. It is there in A level. Fine. And energy level diagram is not there either in ICSE, okay, or in CIE. It's not there. So I don't think that in order to flaunt your knowledge, that you need to learn energy level diagram. See, I believe in one thing. I believe in practicality. I believe in a thing which could secure you the marks. Okay, in that way I'm very much prevalent, I'm very much rational. At the same point of time, I'm very much, what to say, conscious that what I have to deliver to my students so that they can secure marks. Fine. Again I repeat the theory, Bohr's and Bury scheme. So the new terms for you is penultimate theory. Penultimate means last but one. Last but two is known as anti-penultimate. Now there are certain condition will arise where you are going to have 10 electrons. Just in case of calcium we saw 8 plus 2. Certain cases are going to arise where you are going to have 12 electrons in the last shell. So you would be mind boggled that what to do. Always take 8 into consideration. 8 plus 4. You are having 17 electrons in the last shell. 8 plus 8 plus 1. I have repeated once. Again I am repeating. Now when you'd be learning the energy level diagram, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, these are the things. This will become much more clear. But another most important thing which actually IGCSE asks you, IGCSE, it's actually for IGCSE, not for ICSE. ICSE, because Dalal actually has become a Bible. Nobody can overpower Dalal. Okay, I am not here to promote Dalal. Okay, because what we have been studying back in 2002, still it is on process. That's why I can judge the viability of that book. Otherwise I'm not here to promote that particular book. So it is particularly for IGCSE the question comes, IGCSE or CIE, that which one is having the lowest energy level, which one is having the highest energy level. Now the electron is directly proportional to energy, mind you. Small, that means less number of electrons means less energy, more number of electron means more energy. I repeat, less number of electron means less energy, more number of electrons means more energy. Thank you very much. I'm going to make a video on photoelectric effect. Whenever I'm going to make a video about studies photoelectric effect. Though photoelectric effect is not in class 11, rather let's talk about the viability of chemical reaction in ICSE. Hell of a chemical reaction comes, and whenever you are going to study the chemical reaction, there are certain process of studying. You need to go for observation. Fine, you have to memorize the chemical reaction, but until and unless you know the observation, you cannot figure out that particular chemical reaction. So we are going to talk about it in my next video. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.